Jesus was an Aramaic-speaking Jew of the Middle East, and the Assyrians are Aramaic-speaking Christians in the Middle East who have endured persecution for over 1,000 years. Join Voice of the Word Aramaic Bible teacher, artist, and author Stephen Missick as he examines the Bible through the ancient languages, peoples, lands, cultures, and times in which it was first revealed. Research the Scriptures, rescue persecuted Christians, and restore the Church to its Semitic roots. And now, Voice of the Word.
Hello, I'm Stephen Missick. Welcome to this episode of Voice of the Word. And what I want to talk about in this brief episode are Aramaic resources online to help you study the Scriptures using Aramaic resources. And what I want to look at today is the Peshitta.org website, which is mostly an interlinear Aramaic New Testament, where you have the text of the New Testament in Aramaic and the Estrangolo script with the English between each line, an interlinear New Testament. But there's other resources on Peshitta.org that I want to look at really quickly. So just a quick note about the Peshitta. The Peshitta is the official Aramaic Bible. So all of the Syriac churches, the Aramaic churches, use the Peshitta. So this includes the Assyrian churches, the Assyrian Church of the East, the Ancient Church of the East, I guess the Chaldean Catholic Church, but then the Syriac Orthodox churches. So in antiquity, the Peshitta was established as the Bible of the Assyrian, the Aramaic-speaking peoples. Now, there are other Aramaic Bibles. The Peshitta basically means the same thing as Vulgate, which is, it's the Aramaic Vulgate, if you will. It means the common Bible. But there were other Aramaic versions. I could do a whole teaching on that. But the Peshitta also includes the Old Testament, and there's other versions of the Aramaic Bible, because the Jews translated the Bible into Aramaic and the Targums. And then you have the Peshitta Old Testament, which was apparently a Targum created by Aramaic Jewish Christians. But then we have the Old Syriac, which was discovered in Sinai in the late 1800s. The Christian Palestinian Aramaic, and then some other Aramaic versions. But the main Bible of Aramaic Christians is the Peshitta, which is important witness to the text. And it's also important because it's translated from the Greek back into the Aramaic, so that makes the Gospels particularly important, going back to the original language that Jesus would have used. So I want to look at this resource. This is a very complex, deep, and very interesting subject. So I want to discuss it more in depth in other programs. But in this program, I just want to look at this website. We're going to forego our Aramaic lesson. I usually try to include in these because I already did a program this week with Aramaic lessons. So let's take a look at Peshitta.org, which I think is a valuable resource for students of Aramaic or those people interested in exploring the Aramaic language, as the language of Jesus in the Aramaic Bible. So we see here that this is Peshitta.org, and then we have a little table of contents right here. So www.peshitta.org. Let's click Introduction. So preface, copyright, Aramaic, Peshitta, fonts, history of the Peshitta. Let's look at this. So this is a basic historical overview of the Peshitta Bible with examples of the text, some information. So it's by Paul Yonan. He made a translation of the Bible, actually. Aramaic, the history of Aramaic. Let's see. Would you try to see more of this the text? So I want to recommend just going to the website. It's good. So we have a lot of different resources here. Overview of the history of Aramaic. There's the Chinese Sion Nestorian Stone. Paul Yonan again in 2000. I don't know if he's the one doing this site. Articles. Beth Gaza. There's nothing there. Well, here we go. Notes from Nineveh. These are like actually books. Look what he's got here. By Foot to China. I'd recommend this book. This is a PDF version of that book. It's about the Assyrian Christians taking the gospel across the Silk Road into China. It's an excellent book, which I'd recommend. I have a copy of it somewhere. Like I said, we had a hurricane and a tree fell through my library. So let's go back. Articles. The Flickering Light of Asia. Recommend that book strongly. By Assyrian Christian Joel Warda. Joel Warda. There he is. This is about an overview of the history of the Church of the East, but it's about the genocide of during World War I. The Assyrians are named Wigram. See, he wrote several books. I believe he was British. He's a good friend of the Assyrian people. Ruach Kadim. This is a Peshitta primacist named Andrew Gabriel Roth. He's Messianic. Interesting. And we have an article here by Paul Yunin. Now, let's look at... I think I have a copy of his New Testament somewhere. Everything's in disarray after these hurricanes. Tools. Now, grammar. AssyrianLanguage.com. I don't think the site's up anymore. So that's one of the dangers. See? It's a lexicon. There's the Aramaic lexicon concordance. Peshitta New Testament and Psalms. What we got here? Peshitta PDF. So what do we have here? This is actually, I have this Bible. This is the older version. All right, that's the Book of Psalms. It's, of course, you're reading the opposite direction, right? But so he has that Word docs. What has he got? Anything? Oh, he's got a whole bunch of things. I guess you download it there. So let's go back, and let's take a look at. He's got the Targums here. He calls it the trilineal Targums, where you have the Hebrew and then the Aramaic and the Hebrew font. Looks like he has. If you look here, he's got like the entire Old Testament. I think Ezra and Jude. Sorry, no. Ezra and Daniel are never because Ezra and Daniel are already partially in Aramaic, so they never bothered to make a Targum of those books. So he has music here as well. Music. There's a lot of Assyrian singers. So he's got Church of the East music. The Raza Kadisha. I don't think it's up anymore. Linda George. And there you have the Aramaic script. And then we have Nash Dadan, Israeli Jewish. These are Jews from Mesopotamia that still speak Aramaic. Most of those Jews have immigrated to the Western world. I guess some immigrated to Israel, and so they have a community of Aramaic-speaking Jews. There's a book called My Father's Paradise, and I think there's another book called it's called Jerusalem and Nineveh. So let's look at. He's got a forum here. Is anything going on with his forum? Hello there, guests. So I guess he still has a forum going on with different subjects. Now, at long last, let's take a look at his. He's got in the interlinear New Testament here, if you can see it, we got Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts. It's not the entire New Testament, but those books. So let's look at, because Paul's epistles are written in Greek, right? Now, so there's some precipitous saying, no, the whole thing was written in Aramaic. But I mean, Corinth, he's writing an epistle to Rome and Corinth. It's unlikely those are written in Aramaic. You can argue about some other books, but I think most of the epistles of Paul were actually written in Greek. So let's look at Matthew. I'm going to click chapter 1, and here you have it. Let's see. This is also good for learning the alphabet, because you have the word, here you have Eluid, the names written in, where you can, it looks like he's got some textual footnotes. Now let's go to the Sermon on the Mount. So we're going to skip ahead, because this is a red letter Bible, right? The words of Jesus are in red, as you can see here. So this is the Sermon on the Mount. So I guess this is a Paul Union site. I think he's in California. The thing is that, and the last we have links. Everything in links. What do we got here? So he's got other resources listed here on links. Comprehensive Aramaic lexicon, AramaicPeshitta.com. Let's see what this one. So other links. So anyway, this is a good site. Like I said, some of these sites are down, like that one. So we got AramaicNewTestament.org. See, it's really, I mean, that's just what happens. You got to maintain these sites. That's why we need things up on. Okay, this is, I believe this is Steve Caruso. There he is. And he, just like me, he stopped doing any Aramaic stuff back in 2022, and now he's back on it again. I don't know what, I mean, I went through a lot of trials, tribulations, trauma, tragedies. So I'm trying to get back in the fray again. I don't know why he stopped doing anything for a while, but he's back in action. So the Lord's Prayer, let's look at this. So anyway, these are links. This is not Peshitta.org. This is Steve Caruso's work. The Lord's Prayer. I guess this is kind of a teaching he does, an outline. These are just notes. All right, we'll leave it off there. But let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 1, and it's a good site, it's very helpful. And then Jesus speaks to his disciples, letters in red, and then he ascends into heaven, and then we have the Acts, the apostles continuing. So that's all for today. As we can see, he's got several links where they're not up anymore. I'll have to go through here. And anyway, Peshitta.org is still up. It's a very useful site, and so I recommend people go and check it out.
Research, rescue, and restore. Help Voice of the Word and Aramaic Christian Ministries mission research the ancient languages, peoples, lands, cultures, and times of the Bible. Rescue persecuted Assyrian Christians in the Middle East and restore Christianity to its original Semitic roots. For Stephen Missick's books, online giving, and other resources from Aramaic Christian Ministries, visit www.stephenmissick.com. Join us next time on Voice of the Word as we research the Scriptures, rescue persecuted Christians, and restore the Church to its Semitic roots.